Satirical news website The Onion has bought InfoWars, the company created by far-right radio host Alex Jones. InfoWars was put up for sale this week at a bankruptcy auction. Jones owes more than $1 billion to families of victims of the Sandy Hook school massacre for repeatedly saying the shooting was a hoax. Earlier this year, a judge ordered Jones to liquidate his assets to cover the damages. The purchase was approved by a group of Sandy Hook parents. Jones said he's planning a legal challenge to stop the move. For more on this, we're joined by Joel Kaplan. He is a professor of magazine news and digital journalism at Syracuse University. He joins us from Syracuse, New York. And Joel, appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So what were your first impressions when you heard about this purchase?
So when I first read it, when I got up this morning, I thought it was a parody in The Onion,
right,
that The Onion was buying InfoWars, to be honest with you. And given what's happened, Matt Gaetz being Attorney General and Pete Hegseth being the new Defense Secretary, I thought, here we are, everything is parody now in reality. But then when I thought about The Onion actually purchasing InfoWars out of bankruptcy, it actually makes a lot of sense, because what InfoWars did was so harmful to those parents of those victims in Connecticut. And, the horrible disinformation and conspiracy theory. And the fact that The Onion, which has done such a great job of parodizing and making fun of people who've taken themselves way too seriously, this was actually a great marriage. And I'm very hopeful that The Onion will at least I'm hopeful that they'll be able to dissipate some of the anger and resentment that Alex Jones foisted on the American people, and particularly those in Connecticut who lost all their children over in Sandy Hook.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a terrible story. But how do you think they could do that with this purchase to kind of dissipate
I think
some of that?
I think they're going to basically do what they've always done, but they're going to do it in the villain's neighborhood, so to speak. I mean, they've always done a really good job of doing parodies of people, politicians on both sides of the aisle. And they've made fun of Alex Jones and all this. And now they get to use his very own website to run parodies of, and there's going to be future tragedies, and there's going to be future, people getting up there and say, hopes and prayers for those who died. And they're going to be able to use the site that really perpetuate a lot of these evil memes and really crazy stuff to make fun of those people who did that. So I think it will be of value. I think the parents who won that $1.4 billion judgment, which is quite a judgment, against Alex Jones and all his assets, of which InfoWars was one, I think they're actually gratified that this took place.
Because this came with their support, right? So we know that they were supportive of this purchase. So what do you make of the timing of all of this, just over a week after Donald Trump wins the presidency once again?
Right. Well, I think, I'm sure this was in the work. It clearly was in the works, the auction, the bankruptcy auction and all that before the election. So to some degree, it's coincidental, but it's kind of like what I said earlier when we just discussed it. There's so many things that are happening in the real world with the new Trump administration. Every single one of his decisions almost looked like an Onion story. And so that's why when I woke up and said, The Onion's buying InfoWars, I thought, they're making fun of everything. But in fact, it's reality. So I think we've all woken up to a new reality. We don't know what's in store for us, but I don't think anyone in their wildest imagination would have thought that Matt Gaetz, a guy under investigation for sex with minors, would be nominated to be the next Attorney General of the United States. That's as outlandish as The Onion buying InfoWars.
And so what do you think this means now for conspiracy theorist and InfoWars creator Alex Jones?
Well, that's a good question. Now, Alex Jones is Alex Jones, right? And so who knows where he'll pop up. And I'm sure he'll try to, he's almost, many of those on the right and many of those who have wallowed in conspiracy theories are now in power, right? And so I'm sure this is not the last we've heard of Alex Jones. He will recreate himself. I'm sure he will find lucrative ways to make money selling vitamin supplements or whatever else he's been doing. But the difference is that his site, the place where he originally made his mark, is now in quote unquote the enemy camp, who will be monitoring him and will be writing about him in an arena that he no longer controls, but that he created.
Poetic justice or something like that.
Very much so, and I think that's why you're saying that it was the support of the victims in Sandy Hook, and I think that's why they're delighted. This is not a totally done deal, though, because we don't really know the details about the arrangement and how much was paid and all that. That's still to come out. My understanding is that the winners of the lawsuit against Jones basically gave the Onion, subsidized this purchase. And I think there's at least one other bidder who is kind of upset at the lack of transparency. So it's not a done deal yet, although I think it pretty much will be a done deal.
Joel Kaplan, good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Great talking to you.